Okay, hi everyone. Happy to see you here for this new walkthrough of Backlight and one of our new starter kit. So, I'm Mads, I'm Principal Developer Advocate at Dev Riot, and I will be happy today to be with Mihai. Hello, Mihai.
Hi guys.
Okay, so this one will be a new tour dedicated to Yogi, which is one of our new starter kit based on Chakra. Mihai is a developer at Riot and is responsible of the development of this starter kit in Backlight. So as a quick reminder, Backlight is a design system editor allowing you to collaborate with all your teammates on the different parts of your design system, different components based on code, stories, documentation, and so on. So, Mihai, this one is for you. I give you the stage and let you just introduce Yogi Starter Kit and go to a quick demo.
Yep, sure. Thank you, Mads. So as Mads introduced me, I'm Mihai. I've been working with Backlight for bringing you this new starter kit. It's based on Chakra UI, and let's see what Chakra UI is all about at first. So as you can see on their website, it's React component library. It's pretty great if you ask me. It has lots and lots of components. They're very well done and easily customizable. Lots of features in here like theming. You have a default theme that you can extend, and this includes all the usual tokens like colors, typography, borders, radiuses, shadows, that indices, so on and so forth. We'll see those in a bit in Backlight. Also, Chakra UI brings a lot of components ready for you to use in your next React application. They're really nicely grouped in semantic groups like forms, data display, feedback, everything. And it also comes with hooks, React hooks for using the theme, using dark mode, light mode. We'll see all of these in Backlight in a few seconds. So to use Chakra UI, all you have to do is install it using npm or yarn, whichever is your favorite package manager. They provide everything you need here. And now let's see how everything works in Backlight and what Starter Yogi really is. As you've probably seen before, this is the user interface of Backlight, the design system editor. We have a navigation tree with all our components through which we'll go in just a bit. There's the editor part of screen where your code goes, and then on the right we have the docs, the output actually, which is either MD style docs, MDX in this case because we're using React, and also storybook type of stories. We'll see those in a bit. So what's our design system starter kit all about? We have built this starter kit to help you jumpstart your design system if you choose to use Chakra UI, and maybe after this demo you will. And we have grouped everything into meaningful groups. We have the tokens, then we have a big number of components grouped by their functionalities. And then we have the doc kit tools in which we'll go in a bit. So back to tokens then. Let's see what they are all about. We have they are grouped into typography, colors, space, sizes, shadows, RADI, border, Z-index, and the theme component, which combines all of them together. We'll see in a bit. So the idea behind Chakra UI and how you can customize your design tokens, you have to abide their specifications. So for typography, we have defined some variations for letter spacing, line heights, font weights, font families, and font sizes, which of course you can and should further customize according to your design needs. Maybe remove some variations, maybe add some new ones. And all of these are presented in a nice documentation doc, which is MDX actually. You can use our System UI Showcase tool, which you can find in the DevRiots doc kit React package on NPM. And this works because Chakra UI's styles are built using the System UI specification, and that is great. All you have to do is define your theme, pass it to the System UI Showcase component, and mention which key of the theme you want to showcase. So in this scenario, we have the font sizes, the font families, and everything we defined in the typography sources. And each one of those is nicely showcased in this doc part, as you can see. Also, the actual specification can be copied from here, so that you can, after you have defined your tokens, you can copy them and use them when you build your components. Same for line height and everything. For this nice looking doc, I'm going to, before continuing to the other tokens, I'm going to talk to you about the doc layout, which is also built inside this starter kit. You can customize that as well if you need. You can see it's a nice layout which has the logo and navigation bar and a switch for light and dark mode, which works as well out of the box. So to present you this, we'll jump for just a bit into the doc kit layout before coming back to the design tokens and explaining them. So what is the doc layout and also the story layout? They are tools actually, which we built and which give this nice layout to the doc. What happens behind the scenes here is that once the theme is built using the tokens that we have started showing, we started with typography, but everything is combined into the theme object. We import that here and then we use Chakra's extend theme function to build a full theme using our tokens, and also the Chakra provider, which is the component that provides the theme and wraps everything else. So this theme provider layout is actually the doc layout, which shows the logo, as we said, and also provides the theme to it. And there's also a nice style sheet switch, which actually changes from dark to light or back. And we use that using the use color mode hook from Chakra. As you can see, what this does is toggles the color mode from dark to light, and everything inside our documentation changes to abide to this new specification. So now back to the tokens. Now that we've shown the magic behind how the doc pages are built, back to the tokens, we went through typography. We'll go through colors next. The same as typography, what we do here is define sets of colors according to System UI specification. What happens here is that you can either have first level colors like we have transparent, current, black, white, or more nested level colors like gray and different shades of it, just 10 in this case, not 50. Okay, and back to colors, let's show how the documentation is built. So the same as before, you can see that here we import the layout that we've built in the doc layout component that we've shown earlier. This is true for all the documentation pages. And then we default exported. That's how the MDX docs work. And by default exporting it, everything here will be built and laid out according to our doc layout, including the dark and light themes. We showcase the colors again using the System UI showcases component that we've built, and in this case we're showcasing the same theme but with the background key. So this will showcase all our colors that we've defined, and also you can pass in some props for the component that will showcase. Here I'm talking about the box that showcases the colors with transparency. We can play around with it and change to give you an idea of how this actually works. Let's make it smaller, so we'll make it half the size or a quarter of the original size. All you have to do is save in here and see, oof, already it's updated and we have smaller boxes for the demo. In our documentation, or you can switch the border radiuses or whatever else you want to. We have the space tokens from the theme, which is actually a dictionary of sizes and size names and size values that the Chakra UI uses throughout their components. Of course, as every other tokens, you can modify these according to your needs. And the same as before, we're showcasing them on the right in a doc with a visual representation of what the value really is, so that you can compare them to your previous ones or other ones. The same for sizes. We have different sizes that components use. You can read more about these in the Chakra UI documentation. So what we're doing here is we're just expanding on those, adding more values to it, and then showing them in our documentation using the width and height. As you can see here, what we do is we're showcasing the width, all the variations that we've defined in source with a fixed height. And then we're doing the same for height. We're showcasing everything with a fixed width, but different height. The same is true as before. For each definition, you can copy the name and paste it directly when styling your component. We'll go through a bit faster for the next tokens, as there are lots and lots of them. So there are also the shadows in here. Let's switch back to light mode where the shadows are more visible. You can see there are really large shadows and small ones. They are defined again using the system UI specifications and exported. The same for border radiuses, radii actually, border width, the z-index component tokens, which are shown via stacked boxes so that you can get an idea which one goes on top of which one. You can copy the token here as well. And last but not least, here's the component that combines everything. So what happens here is that we import every token that we've defined and we merge them into a complete theme object. We're using a small library deep merge here to merge everything and to define custom merges for arrays, for example, nothing too fancy. And in the docs here, we have an explanation on how to use all of these. All right. So this concludes the token section. We'll be back to them later when demoing a custom component with some custom tokens in it. But first, let's walk through the components tree. There are more than 40 components in here that you can use out of the box. We'll just go through a few of them since there are a lot. And as we get the general idea of how these work, then it's pretty clear how to add more or how the others work. We won't have to go through all of them. They're also grouped by their functionality. So we have the layout section, forms section, feedback section, data display, media and icons, navigation, disclosure, overlay, and that's it. Let's target to see one of each section at least. So here's the box component. In the source of this, what we do is just re-export the box from Chakra UI library. But the idea here is that you can import it, further customize it according to your design needs, and then re-export it. And we'll show an example of that in a bit. So the pattern here is that we export the component from a file called box.tsx. We're using TypeScript everywhere for type safety. We re-export it from via index.ts file. And then in documentation, we're importing it from where we defined it according with other components and full-size documentation here with everything you need. We'll take a look at the rendered output. There's a summary here, description for everything, usage examples, code samples, and also the interesting part, the playground. We have a playground component that you can import directly from our dev.hit React library. And how this works is that you pass in the scope of your components. You pass your components to the scope of the playground and then pass in string as sample code in the code property. And then the output is live code section with a demo. So let's modify this and see how it works. It works great. It changes your components live. We can, for example, remove the background. Let's see what happens. It's removed. It's back. Here are some more usage examples of the box. Let's see some more interesting components. So we've seen the layout. Let's jump to the most common component out there in all the component libraries. And here is the button. For some more common and complex components, we also provide stories. First, let's take a look at the source folder, which, the same as before, exports a button from Chakra UI. And then in the stories folder, we have defined stories that showcase all the variations of the button. And here it is. So we have basic type of button on different backgrounds. We have outline buttons. We have the other variants like, let's see, solid, outline, ghost button, or link button. We have different sized buttons. What is cool here is that as you navigate through the stories, you also get a highlight on where it's defined. So what you have to do in the stories section is export each as a React component, export each story that you want to show, and in most cases that will be a variation of your component. The button also supports with React icons, with loading, pinners, so on and so forth. Also here we have the doc section, which is similar to the box documentation that we've seen earlier, but of course, given that this component is more complex and has many variants, the documentation is complex as well. And also the live examples are there using the playground component. What we also introduced, and it's available for more complex components such as button, is the design section, which is actually link to a Figma design file from Chakra UI's button. So via this tab and design, we link the code section to the Figma section of things. Just a second for it to reload. You can also see all the variations here. Okay, back to it then. Let's see what other components we should show, more interesting ones. Let's see what the pin input is. So this is a nice component from Chakra UI as well, which you can see experiment live with it, change some stuff for it, adapt it to your design needs, change colors, font sizes, shadows, everything. So all of this is true and possible with the starter kit. Let's jump to a more interesting part of our demo today. Let's actually add a new component and code it, since this is what Backlight is all about, and yeah, it's more fun to do. So what I prepared for you guys today is, let's add a new form component. Let's add the search box. Okay, these are sorted alphabetically, so in the form section it's going to be the last one. First things first, let's add the source to it. We'll add the search box ESX file. This is going to be based on the input component, so I'm going to paste some imports here. We're going to use Chakra's UI input component and some helper components around it. We'll use the color mode for later to show something else. All right. All right. So what's next? We're building a component. We should import it. Let's see. I'm going to paste some stuff in here and then explain it so that I won't bore you with my typing skills, which are not that great. Let's see what we've done here. So we're building a search box. How is a search box built? It's an input which needs to have some icons and some other interactions inside it. So Chakra's method to do this is put everything in an input group, and you have a left element, which will be a search icon. Let me remove this so that I won't spoil the fun for later. An input left element is a helper element, and we want to place a search icon there. For that, we can import the search icon from Chakra's UI icon library. Let's see how we do that. Okay. All right, so it's there. Will also use the arrow forward icon. All right, autocomplete is there and it helped me do this faster. So let's see what we did here. We've built this component. There's no documentation for it yet. We'll need to export it and build the documentation as well. As our code convention here is, we'll have an index file which exports everything from our search box file. We have this, and what we'll also have is a component level index file. Let's reuse this already created file and use it to export everything from the source folder. Right, we also have prettier in here, which helps us abide to our coding rules and conventions. So we have this so far. Let's see what we need next. We have our component, which is a search box. It accepts two properties, an on search event handler and the placeholder, which by default is search if you don't specify it. The types for them are defined as well because this is TypeScript and we can do that safely. On search is just a function, and of course, when building a real search box, you'd want to pass the search term here as well. But for our demo, this is complex enough. And the placeholder. Let's see the components used. We've used the input left element for placing our search icon in there. We've used the input, which has the placeholder. We've reacted to the enter key pressed and triggered the search. And also we've placed an icon on the far left, which acts as a search button. It's an arrow forward icon. We've styled it. We'll style it with a custom color in a bit to demo that. We've also styled it with a custom cursor, so when hovering, you'll have a pointer to indicate that it's pressable. When clicked, it will trigger the search function. Let's build our documentation for it next. So we'll go to the doc folder and we'll add a new doc. Let's add a search box MDX. I'll just paste in some imports so that it works nicely. Let's see what happens here. Right, so it loaded the depths. We see that if we pasted the doc layout import, it already styled it the same as our other docs with the logo, the nav bar, the color mode switch and everything. Okay, that looks great to me. What we have to do next is import our newly defined component. It's there. And let's add some documentation for it. Let's add a header and say that search box is a very awesome component. and other documentation that you need here. When saving, it already gets formatted and refreshed in the doc section. What we would need next is to have the playground component and let us play with it. So let's add the playground right there. What we need here is the scope, which will be the search box in our case. So we pass in the scope as an object with the components needed. And we'll also add the code, which should be string actually. We'll put the search box in here. We'll let's add an event handler for the on search. Here we'll alert that a new search was triggered. Okay, so this is the first time we see our search component in action. I just hit save. That's Command S on my keyboard, and the documentation refreshed really quickly via a hot module reload. And you can see our newly built search box in here. It's actually an input where you can type anything, the search placeholder that we've defined, the search icon, and forward arrow icon, which we can also use at button to trigger the search. And you can see that we are already alerted by Backlight.dev that a new search was triggered. So as easy as that, we've built a new component according to our design needs. In the documentation for it, we've built it using the building blocks from Chakra UI library, and we can customize it a bit. Let's see how. Let's do something nice and simple like adding a new color and use it in our new component to see how it works. So we'll add a new component, a new token, a new color token, which is our backlight color, our accent color actually. So once I add it and I save it, we can already see it in the backlight documentation. In the doc section of our color tokens, there's the backlight color. I'll copy that. And then back to our search box. Now let's use it to style our search icon, for example. We can pass the color property there and just paste what we've copied and do the same for the other icon. All right, we saved it and I can already see the accent color in our search box component applied to the icons we've used there. That's pretty awesome. Let's take this just a bit further really quickly and see how we can adapt this to our color modes. As you can see in light mode, the accent color doesn't have a really good contrast and we would like to use something else here. What we can do, sorry for this, I clicked the wrong thing. Okay, back. What we can do here is use Chakra UI's use color mode value. And what we can do here is using this hook, we can provide what colors to use in dark or light mode. So let's define a new color with using this use color mode value. And we'll define for light, for example, black color, and for dark, as you can see in the tooltip, the use color mode takes two params, a color for light, a color for dark, and for dark, we'll use our backlight color, which looked good on dark. Okay, and now we can use that color for our icons. One here and one here. Okay, we saved. We see that in light mode, the icons are dark. And when we switch to dark mode, the icons use the backlight color, which is gray. So this concludes our adding a new component section of the demo. And we're coming into the end of the whole demo. Let's do a quick recap. In the Yogi Starter Kit built with Backlight, you can kickstart your design system with all of Chakra UI's components and the theme tokens, which you can customize according to your needs. As we've shown, we added a new color and we've used it in a new component. And that's about it. If you have any questions, thank you guys for watching this. Hopefully it helped a lot. Mads, do you have
Thank you.
anything to add?
Yeah, it was really great and an awesome demo. I really do like it, especially as a switch color using the use color mode value chakra. It's really impressive. I don't have that much of questions in the chat, but I have one question of mine
Sure.
about the theme variations, because themes are always the same. It's always the same thing. It's often the first question people ask when they start with a new design system. Who could I and I some variations? So um, is chakra limited? Is chakra then yogi limited to just light and dark variations, or could we add the more different variations using the existing implementation of yogi?
Right. That's a good question. According to Chakra's documentation, you can add more than two variations of this. And there's also a concept called scoped variations. So you can add a variation of colors and just use them for one component or just a few components. You can find all of this in Chakra's documentation, which is really nice, by the way. I've spent a lot of time in it, and it is possible to answer your question, but we haven't added that yet in Yogi. We might in a new iteration, in a new version.
Awesome, fantastic. So yeah, I guess that's all for this walkthrough. Thank you for your time, and thank you for this awesome demo, Mihai. It was really great to see you playing with the whole tool and the backlight tool and everything. Thank you, everyone. See you quickly in the next session for a new walkthrough of one of our fantastic starter kit. So see you later, and feel free to join the Discord to ask us any questions that you have about Backlight and the Yogi Starter Kit. Thank you very much. See you later. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.